What's going on, boys? It's Daddy Big, and today I just wanted to talk. Let's tell some more stories. I've been really enjoying this format of talking video recently because it's like a lot of my early intentions for this whole little series was more so having deep thoughts. But I think it's also just really fun to tell some stories. Because this channel I want it to be want to have some personal content on it. Obviously, I think the gaming content's cool, but at the end of the day, I want people to subscribe to me because they like me. Not just I want to kind of build that kind of audience. But yeah. So today I had some more fun stories. This one is I'm just making the proclamation that I'm the most fragile man alive. Okay, because I've been injured in some absolutely comical ways. I just kind of wanted to dive into that today. So just like when I was younger, I was kind of just like pathetically clumsy. And the thing is, like, I'm still as clumsy as I ever was. It's just now I have a manner of catching myself. So I'll trip over my own feet in the hallway, but then I'll just stomp down super hard and just catch myself before I can fall, like a god. You know what I mean? So that's pretty gratifying that I have the reflexes of a falcon. Uh, but in any case, so like just general clumsiness, but I kind of wanted to get more into the meat and potatoes of like actual injury stories. So I think one was we were out on a campground. How old was I? I was like 10 or something. Maybe I was more like 13, somewhere in like the early teens, something, so that kind of range, right? We were up at a campground with my family, and there was this path. There was like these woods. It was in the woods, and there was this little picnic area in a clearing in the woods. And to get up there was a little hill, and the campground had these like this stairway, but the stairway was literally just like cinder blocks, like just like mashed into the hill. So that was like the staircase. But so like I was walking up. I wanted to go like check out this little area, and I'm walking up these stairs, hands in my pockets, which was an incredible display of absolute hubris that would come to punish me seconds later when I tripped, and then after tripping, I tried to catch myself, but I couldn't because my hands were in my pockets, so I just fell right on my face. I ate shit. I literally just ate shit. And I remember because the thing is I hit like right on the bridge of my nose, like right, like because I wear glasses, and I hit like right where like the, well, I don't know what you call it, like the bridge of your glasses where like it connects the two sides of the frames in the middle, like right there basically, like literally right above that. And I was so lucky because if I had like hit my nose, I would have broken my nose. A little above that, I would have broken my glasses, and any further above that, I would have like gotten a huge welt on my forehead. But I just hit in like this super precise spot that was in the middle of all of that, and that's just crazy to me. But it still did hurt like a bitch. So I didn't get a concussion or anything from that. But speaking of, there was one time as a kid when I thought I had a concussion. I remember at the playground at my elementary school, there was this thing we called it the spider web. It was literally just like a metal pole with a bunch of like ropes coming off of it, and you could like climb up it. And I remember I had managed to get myself suspended by the feet from a couple of the ropes. It was like in the middle of winter, and I was just like chilling, was hanging on by my feet from like one of the top ropes, you know, and then my feet both at the same time slipped out of my winter boots, and I landed directly on my head from like 5 feet up. Like I literally just fell on my skull, like right on my crown, like the top of my head. That's where Jack hit his head. It's like I literally thought I had a concussion, just because like I was a dumb kid, didn't know the difference. But like, kind of a crazy story if you think about it. Another time I got my head hit at the play. I'm just like on a roll right now. All this stuff is just coming back to me as it goes. But another time I was a kid, I remember same thing in elementary school. It was like when I was in fourth grade or whatever. I guess that would make me what, like 11, 12? I don't know, something like that. 11, 12. But I remember there was this whole line of like a big swing set, and at the end there was like a seat swing, not like a baby seat swing, but it was like literally like a car seat, like attached by chains to the swing set. I don't know if y'all ever seen that before. Maybe if I like find a picture of it, I'll pop it up on screen. But but yeah, like what we would do is like we would have my friends we'd have someone get in that, and then we would twist it up like a bunch, and then like just let them fly and spin, and it would be fun, you know. And we would always tell people like, hey, don't go on the swing right next to that, so no one gets hurt when the swing goes crazy, you know, because we were trying to be safe, like the good little boys we were. But there was this one kid who was on the swing next to it, and we were like, hey man, would you mind getting off so no one gets hurt? And he was like, fine, you know. So he jumps off at the apex of his swing, and then because he jumped off in the middle of the swing, the swing itself went crazy, and it came back and whacked me upside the head. Of course, it was me of all people, trying to be the one to police the other kids that we could be safe, you know. And I ended up instantly, I grabbed my head where it got hit, and I pulled it away, and just sticky with blood. So I got to go home early, and I distinctly remember sitting on the recliner in my living room, like holding an ice pack up to my head while my parents were arguing about whether or not to take me to the ER. And eventually I did go to the urgent care and got stitches. I mean, I still have them, I suppose. I haven't really thought about it that much. I'm feeling it on my skull right now. But yeah, there's just a little bump there. Not a big deal. Didn't have a concussion there either. But the one time I did have a concussion was now this is real embarrassing, right? This was in my sophomore year of high school. I a lot of stuff happened in sophomore year, bro. But but yeah, like I was in band class, right? At the time I was playing trumpet as a secondary instrument. So I was going into the instrument room where we have all the lockers and stuff. And where we had all the lockers. And you know, I had my locker open, and I was like getting ready to go to lunch. So I had to set some stuff down on the floor or whatever. So I go to stand back up from bending over and like handling my gear, and I stand up, and here's the thing, right? So like these lockers were like cubicle type lockers. Like I don't know how best to explain it. Like kind of like in a locker room where like they're stacked on top of each other, but they were like only like a foot by a foot, like the door. So like when you opened my locker door, it was like about eye level, like about like the about where my neck is, and like about a foot tall. So I stood up, and I like at full force like whacked the back of my head into like straight up into the locker door. And I was like, wow, that hurt. But whatever, you know. And it was like, all my friends were like, dude, you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, it's whatever. And we laughed it off, went to lunch, was fine. Then I went back to go grab my binder and my school stuff for the next class. And I stand up, and I hit my head in the exact same spot again. I did the same shit 30 minutes later. And like at that point, I almost, like my vision almost blacked out for a second. I had to sit down on the ground, and at this point all my friends are really worried, like, hey man, it's not a funny joke anymore. You know, I was like, hey, you know, I'm fine. But then like I started having like problems focusing. I couldn't see very well. I was like really like drowsy, and I was like, okay, that's not good. So my mom came and picked me up, and by the time we got me home, I was laying on the couch like pretty much completely incapacitated, like barely responsive. I was like barely awake. And my mom was like, hey, stay with me, buddy. You know, and she was like calling the pediatrician, and they were like, you need to take him to the hospital. So we show up to the hospital, and I remember I was getting wheeled off to my CT scan in a hospital bed. I was just talking to my nurse. I was like, you know, I've never been in a hospital bed before. And she was like, oh yeah? Well, hopefully you don't have to be back very often. I was like, yeah. I was like, it's my big day though. And she was like, oh, it is? And I was like, it's my big day. Just imagine, you're this kid, you're taking him to get a CT scan. You think he has a severe concussion, and you're just wheeling around, and he's just babbling about how it's his big day. Like, it's just like a funny image. But yeah, it turns out I had no major brain damage or anything. I ended up being fine. It was just a minor concussion. I took a couple days off, no gaming, and I turned out to have a full recovery. So But that was a pretty embarrassing one. Getting you know, I'm the only guy that would have to take a helmet to high school band class, but that's neither here nor there. But the final story I wanted to tell was from elementary school. It was over the summer. This was at the point where my parents still tried to make me a sporty kid, because my dad was like all star in high school, and they thought I might have had the genes. I didn't, but so I thought basketball was pretty cool, and I wanted to go to this basketball camp. I thought it was just gonna be like having fun playing basketball, but no, it turned out it was like conditioning for like to be on a team, and I was not prepared for that at all. It was like kicking me, right, kicking me in the butt, and I remember we were doing this layup exercise where like you would form a line and someone would shoot, and the person who I just shot would go for the layup. Pretty standard stuff that you'd all go back and cycle through, and I remember I was like so tired out of it at this point because I'm not very physical. Very physical. I am more so than I was as a kid. As a kid, I was pretty actually pathetic. But yeah. So I had just shot and I was like, dude, I'm so tired. And this kid was like, hey, get the rebound, get the rebound. And I was like, where's the ball? I don't see it. There's no ball. And they're like, hey, get it, get it. The entire line screaming like, get the ball. And I'm like, where is it? And then it was literally like straight out of a cartoon. I look up and I see the ball descending on me. I literally look up and the ball whacks me in the face, knocks me over. And what it did was like the ball hit my glasses and then just like pushed my glasses down the bridge of my nose, and like the metal on my glasses like scraped the skin off my nose. So like the entire bridge of my nose was just raw skin, and it was just absolutely grotesque. It was just like I did not go to basketball camp again. Let's just say that. But yeah, that was another funny one. This kind of reminds me of the time in elementary school. I remember I was like the captain of like the safety patrol in 5th grade. I don't know if that was a thing everywhere, but like, like you would just like help the kindergartners get to the bus or whatever. So I would like sit in the main part of the school, like right in the center, and like watch all the stuff go on. And this kid that was posted, because like there was a stairway right in the walkway to my school, and there was like on the landing there were a couple kids posted, and we were kind of buddies. And this kid was like, hey, catch, and he tossed me a water bottle, and it was like pretty much empty, and it hit me square in the chest and knocked me over. And this thing weighed like maybe a pound, and I was just like so surprised that I fell over. And this kid was just laughing at me, and I'm like, yeah, I deserve to be laughed at. You know what I mean? I literally got knocked over by a water bottle that was barely full. But it's like, I don't know, like almost all of these are when I was younger, just because I was pretty pathetic as a kid. But physically anyways. But yeah, this was a pretty rapid fire video. I had a lot of stories about this, but I just thought it was kind of fun, just some dumb stories from when I was a kid. But yeah, that's just all that I can remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below in the comments if you have any kind of like funny injury stories or anything. And in the meantime, see you in the next one, boys.